This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to our friends at Woodbine for their sponsorship. Woodbine, pick, bet, and cheer on great racing north of the border. As always, we appreciate their sponsorship for this program, some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Coming up on today's show, it's Preakness Week. We're counting down. We'll have some Preakness conversation probably all week long, I would imagine, with the various guests. But Jeremy Plonk, he's actually headed down to Baltimore. So his usual spot on Wednesday, will not happen today, but I think we'll probably squeeze him in on Friday, live from Baltimore. But an able replacement, Randy Moss from NBC, will join us in about 15 minutes. He'll give us some Derby thoughts and also into the Preakness as well. A little bit later on, we get Indiana Grand plugged in on Wednesdays. Their season started, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, but Bill Downs will be the first in the rotation from Indiana Grand on a Wednesday afternoon. Again, they'll be in with us on Wednesday. So we'll get some thoughts. We'll catch up on how the meet's going so far and maybe get some ideas for this afternoon for Indiana Grand. But as always on a Wednesday morning, happy to be joined by our friend Shannon Donovan from the marketing department here at Capital OTB to update you on some of the promos and events.
Good morning, Seth. How are you?
Very good. Happy to have you on board. Why don't we start right up by alerting people that good idea to reserve a table for Saturday if you want to come down here for the big day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's recommended to make your reservations here at the Clubhouse Racebook. You can call 446-4010, 446-4010. Speak to the admissions and line up your table for today. Obviously, it's a very good day. Doors open on Saturday, 10:30. I believe we open up, first post is 10:30. We open up at 10 a.m.
Okay.
Friday is normal time. First post at Pimlico is 11:30. Doors open here at 11 a.m. On Saturday, Preakness Day, all of our branch locations especially will be open early.
It's going to be obviously a big day, a couple of big days at Pimlico. Lots of stakes action Friday, stakes action Saturday. They've pulled Friday's card already. You can get those PPs. They'll have the post positions. You said social media for the draw this
Social
afternoon.
Media for the draw today, 5 p.m. Go to facebook.com/Preakness. Facebook.com/Preakness. 5 p.m. is the post draw.
And so we'll see what happens. Looks like a field of 10 at this point. We'll see if there's any late defections or additions to that at 5 o'clock when they do pull, but we'll see how that plays out. As I say, it should be a big weekend. And regardless of where you're going, how you're betting, I think everybody roots for Always Dreaming, just so when we get to New York, we have a shot at a Triple Crown. You may be betting in a different direction, but that would add some excitement.
He's been training well. He's been looking good. He's been a little rambunctious a little bit, which I think is a very good sign. He's full of energy, full of pep. He finished the Derby really well. Johnny didn't empty the tank on him going into the finish line on the Derby, which is always a good thing. And my biggest question to the camp is the post position a concern? Does he want to be on the inside of Gunnevera and Classic Empire? I would think so. I would think Todd would want to be 1 through 6. Don't want to be too far outside, so that way he can go to sit off the pace and kind of let Classic Empire and Gunnevera get behind him. Because I think Johnny wants to make the first move, but that's a strategy that goes into the race. I'm curious how things are going to shape up here. I think it's a good field, good solid field, and it's always nice when you got 4 or 5 of the major Derby contenders who ran well that come back. And the trend has been over the years that the horses that run well at the Derby come back
Yeah.
into Preakness and do well again.
Yeah, because, I mean, you have the top 3-year-olds show up at the Derby. If you miss the Derby, you're not one of the top horses just by virtue of the fact that you missed the Derby. You either got a late start or you didn't have enough
Or if you have an
points.
excuse like Classic Empire, who just got smashed coming out of the gate.
Yeah,
So,
and they're looking for a clean trip and an improvement. I'm looking for Gunnevera to improve. I can't jump off quite yet because of the sloppy track a couple of weeks ago. So we'll see how it all plays out. And again, in a few minutes, we'll talk with Randy Moss, get some of his thoughts as well. Why don't we pop through some of the promos and events here at Capital OTB. Remind people that the Bet 50, Get 50 promotion continues through the month of May.
continues through the month of May. Just remember, you got to bet to 50 by the end of the month. So you're midway through the month. So once you open that account, you bet to 50. And next business day, you'll get to 50. So take advantage of Preakness week. This is a perfect time to do it. And then you'll be set to go for the rest of the Triple Crown. And then you get all the other perks and privileges of having that Capital Bets account, from PPs to the live streaming, to the bankrolls, to the contests and everything else that we do for the rest of the year.
And I want to remind people that today there's a $200 online pick 4. Brian Nadeau will be putting that together.
He's doing the early and the late pick 4 at Belmont Park, 100 on the early, 100 on the late. The bets are already posted. We're drawing the team at 12 noon today, so you got a little time. 20 account holders will be chosen, and those 20 accounts will be posted on the website. Just remember, if you are one of the 20, you must wager on your account today, the day of the promotion.
Brian doing a long distance because I don't know if he's there yet, but I know he's headed to Baltimore this weekend
Yep.
as well. Tomorrow, $100 online knockout challenge.
Knockout challenge, yep. This one's a harness for Thursday.
There you go, for the Selkie side.
Yeah, this is sponsored by Woodbine and Mohawk. So you got 3 races at Yonkers, 3 races at Mohawk.
Oh, nice.
So take a look at that. It's 2 through 4 at Yonkers, 5 through 7 at Mohawk. And once again, on the knockout, you must make it through all 6 races. So your horse has to hit the board. And if you do, and you get the most show money, $75 goes into your account for the winner, $25 to the runner-up.
I remember when they first started these kind of contests where, show Viver type of things.
Yep.
And I don't know whether Nye was the first one or Southern California. I forget but whoever, when it first came out, I thought, oh, this is easy. You just got to pick one to hit the board. and the first few days realized, man, it's not as easy as it
No,
sounds.
it's funny that you say that, because we do have a variety of contests. Now, the ones that we do online are typical of the knockout, because it's easier for us to score, because we have to manually score it. And but we go out to other branches and locations, and we'll do the knockout or the winner bet. But most of the people on the knockout, they look at that and they're like, oh, this is easy. I'm going to win this. Third leg in, they're out. Wasn't that easy, was
It's
it?
really funny because you think, oh, I could pick show horses
That's right.
all day long.
All you got to do is hit 6 races? Yeah, that's all you got to do.
And when you think about it, that makes sense, because if everybody could just hit, you just do a show parlay and you'd be living in Tahiti for the rest. It's not as easy as it sounds, but there are definitely a lot of fun.
Well, so many times here at the clubhouse, they'll come over, and we'll be on the 4th or 5th leg, and somebody's like, how many people are left? I'll say, 3.
Yeah.
They're like, you got to be kidding me. I said, yeah, there's only 3 left.
It's tougher than it sounds, no question about it. All right, another great contest become very popular here. Back on Friday, the Bounty Bet, over $1,900 up for grabs.
And remember, this is on the late pick 4 at Woodbine. 20-cent bet, so you get some more multiples in there. And if you're just single account holder, you take down the whole bounty bet. If not, we have multiple winners. 25% gets paid out, so you get a bonus on top of your pair of mutual winnings. 75% is going to roll over. And if that does happen, we're going to have a mandatory payout on the day before Belmont Stakes Day,
nice.
which is Friday, June 9th. So be on the
we're
lookout for that. Unless someone gets lucky and hits it and takes this down on this Friday. So just remember, it's through account wagering only, late pick 4 at Woodbine. And good luck to you, and take advantage of it, because there's been some really good bonuses for the people who have won on the bounty bet.
And I'll reiterate what you said. At Woodbine, that pick 4 is a 20-cent bet, so you can get a lot of
You
coverage.
can get
for
more
20
coverage on
cents.
that. Now, the last time we had it with Woodbine, we had 3 account holders win. Parimutuel was like $223 and change, if I'm not mistaken. And the bonus was like over $70-some.
Nice, yeah, there you go.
So that's not bad. When you hit it, and there's less amount of people hitting it. I mean, take advantage of it, play it,
jump in.
and take your shot.
For the 20-cent increment, definitely we're taking a shot on Friday. Also on Friday, our chance to say thank you to the customers at the Alpha Lanes branch.
Yeah, it's one of our easy bet locations over in Troy over there off of, I believe in between 4th and Fulton and over near the Landsberg branch. So there's vouchers at the door, programs, there's some drawings, some food and beverage. So anyone in that area, please come in, and we'd like to thank you for your hospitality for Alpha Lanes.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, give us our chance to say thank you to you for your patronage out there if you're a regular. And we mentioned it earlier, Preakness Day here at the Clubhouse Racebook, also Black Eyed Susan Day on Friday and Saturday. We'd love to see you down here. It's always fun on a big day to come and enjoy the big crowd. And we should mention also the Betmobile will be on the road again.
On the road, it's over at City Line off of Western Avenue, right across from SUNY Albany. Really nice spot, full bar restaurant there. Betmobile will be there both days, Friday and Saturday. On Friday, you do have advanced wagering for the full card on Saturday.
And again, a reminder, 446-4010 for admissions if folks want to reserve a seat down here for Preakness Day.
That's for reservations for here at the Clubhouse Racebook. I mean, by the time, early afternoon, we'll be filled here. So if you really want a table reservation, I would call over the next couple of days.
Sounds good. And another one of those mark your calendar type of things, but I always like to do this with the happy hour. A week from Friday, May 26th, the happy hour bankroll comes back. Brian Nadeau will have the 750 this time. And last Friday, again, I mentioned it on Saturday morning on the handicapper support, but I'll take this opportunity while you're here as well, because you were in the building also with us on Friday. Another nice crowd. Always appreciate when folks show up. This past Friday, I had the bankroll, and woo, it came.
I tell you, we had a very nice crowd, and they hung in here all the way till the end. It was fantastic. They had to, but you cast down a lot of bets, because kudos to you. You did. It was fast and furious at times, but it was fantastic, and then you had your big score with the pick three.
You had a pick three right at the pretty much the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I said it on Saturday. A lot of times with these bankrolls, I'll get home at night and kind of reverse engineer and should I have done something differently? And most of the time, I think there may be one or two spots where I will admit, last week, there were like 4 or 5 that I kind of left money on the table. I should have done much better than I did, but I was happy.
But you gave out some good winners.
Yeah.
Especially the last leg of the pick three, and you gave that out to everybody. So I think a lot of people cashed out on that.
So people did play into that, because we got to a late pick three. And I talk about my betting strategy a lot, where I'm kind of a mental health guy, where I like to back myself up. And we started the pick 4 at Churchill Downs, and I got through that first leg. And so I made a pick 3 using horses that I liked that I hadn't played, just to kind of back myself up.
Yeah, that's smart to do, sure.
And that's what came through. It was a $37 horse, a 14, I think. And then in the last leg, a $28 horse.
And you really liked that horse a lot.
Yeah,
in the last leg.
I was alive to 4 horses there, and I said before the race went up that the 12 horse was our longest price. It was $925. And I said, I don't think this horse should be this price. I thought it had maybe a little bit of more class than folks were giving it credit for. And we had that ding-dong battle down there. The place was rocking.
It was rocking. But that's the theory that we put behind the bankroll. Not only we want people to cash out, have fun with it, but it's the interaction between the handicapper and the people here in attendance, breaking down, doing analysis. Everyone's in discussion of who are the better horses in that race, and everybody's betting along with the handicapper, so it's fantastic.
Yeah, so it was a fun day. Again, we turned our 750 into 1,000, and everybody walked away with a nice little chunk of change. So again, Brian Nadeau will have the bankroll a week from Friday, May 26th. Bankroll will return, so hopefully we'll see a nice crowd down here then as well. Shannon, as always, appreciate the visit. Folks can catch up with the promos and events on the website as well.
Everything's on the website at capitalotb.com, and good luck on Preakness Day.
All right, we'll head to a break. When we come back, Randy Moss from NBC Sports. We'll talk Derby and Preakness right after this. Stay tuned.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
And they're turning for home. Coaltown and Citation head and head, and it looks like Eddie Arkell has got his Derby. They're coming in there just like they were the enemy, riding each other close. And it is Citation coming to the front. He's everything they said he was. He's going to win with his ears pricking. It is Citation by 2.
There's a strong left-handed whip again by Pinkai. He goes to it time and time again, but Ronnie Turcotte has his whip put away, and Secretariat has him put away. He's beginning to draw away. It is Secretariat. Here he comes, and he's opening it up again. It's the heads apart. Affirm's got a nose in front as they come onto the wire. At the finish, it's going to be dead tight. Affirm's going to be
front as they come to the wire, and American Pharoah and Victor Espinoza have won the Preakness over Caleb Erb. Bob Baffert get yet another chance at a Triple Crown.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. CapitalOTB.com offers live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, and a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform. And best of all, you get track prices. Going on now, it's Bet 50, Get 50. Simply open a Capital Bets account, bet $50, and get $50 cash back. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Championship horse racing continues at Capital OTB. There's no better place to watch, wager, and win than OTB TV and CapitalOTBBet.com.
With more than 60 Easy Bet and branch locations throughout the region, you're just a short drive from all the top tracks across the country and around the world. For a complete list of all Easy Bet and branch locations, visit CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB. We're closer than you think.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back. We are still trying to reach out to Randy Moss. We made connection, and the connection broke. So I'm assuming maybe a cell phone glitch at this point. But we will keep trying, or wait for him to call in to us. In the meantime, this was from yesterday. There was Always Dreaming went on the track. Headline at the Blood Horse. Always Dreaming more composed an early morning gallop. Displayed during his gallop. Cut down on the excitement that he had shown the day before. So yesterday, Tuesday, a little more under control, was Always Dreaming than he had been on Monday. Monday, according to the Blood Horse article, gave out a Pletcher, quote unquote, a little fright with some on-track antics, some bucks and a little stumble, but a little calmer yesterday on the track. Pletcher said it could have gone any smoother around 5:30, going to the paddock at 11. But again, it's like Shannon said earlier, that may just indicate on his toes, and maybe that's something you'll like to see. All right, I have him in my ear. I hear him now. Randy Moss from NBC. Good morning, Randy. Happy to have you on board. And are you in Baltimore already? Travel day today? How's it work?
Feet on ground.
There you go.
Landed yesterday afternoon, and was out. Bailey and I out this morning doing our Preakness barn reconnaissance, and all systems go. Beautiful day here. Beautiful.
All right, I'll get some updates on what you may have seen this morning, but before we do that, I wanted to rewind a little bit and just get your thoughts on the Derby from a couple of weeks ago. We have the stretch run, and I know both you and Jerry on the telecast, you liked Irish War Cry. You weren't alone there, and he was in the front in your pace simulation as well, the animated pace simulation. Give me your thoughts overall. Always Dreaming, an Irish War Cry, who maybe was just a little bit distance challenged because he was certainly there. And Rajiv said after the race, he just, when it came time, he didn't have enough to keep on going. But give me your thoughts on the winner and Irish War Cry as well.
Well, the winner, I guess the point I'm going to make on the NBC show is it's pretty damn hard to beat a horse that can outrun the speed horses and then outfinish the closers.
Yeah.
And that was basically Always Dreaming in the Derby. He had the early speed to put himself in a perfect position early, and then he ran the second fastest final quarter mile in the race. Only Looking at Lee ran faster the last quarter mile, and that was only by about a length and a half. He ran faster than all the other closers. He ran faster late than Gunnevera, all of them, which is pretty darn impressive. Now, you got to ask yourself, was there anything in Derby that worked as advantage, disadvantage of maybe some of the other races? That's where the sort of critique, the critical handicapping thinking comes in. I mean, you're always trying to beat the favorite. You always go into a race trying to look for any flaws that the favorite might have. It was a sloppy track, and we all know that you can't really make any ironclad conclusions about horses based on a sloppy track race. B, he had a beautiful ground-saving trip along the rail at both turns, and a lot of the other horses in the race were taken out wide to avoid the kickback and ran a lot farther than Always Dreaming did. And you also don't really know if it's just total guesswork, but you don't really know if the heavy rain that preceded the Kentucky Derby, after the other dirt race, then there was a grass race, then there was a long break before the Kentucky Derby. There was at least one and maybe two rainstorms during that interim. And the Derby itself was run as if the inside part of the racetrack might have been a little faster. I was skeptical about that going in because the earlier races in the day, it didn't seem that way. But when you have rainstorms and all that, things can change from race to race. And at least that's something to keep in mind, because both the only horses that were really doing any running were Always Dreaming and Looking at Lee, and they both were on the rail both turns and Looking at Lee the entire race. Yeah. So Always Dreaming, I think, is the horse to beat, but I don't necessarily view him as a favorite that is not without doubt.
And I heard you, last night I was pulling up some pre-Derby stuff, and I pulled up a podcast of a radio show you were on before the Derby, and you tossed Looking at Lee out there as a live long shot. And yeah, he made a really nice run up the inside to get up there for second at 33-1. And I think a lot of people off of the Arkansas performance were looking at him to do something. They got lucky. On the other hand, it was a Derby. I kind of, betting-wise, I played more than I would play on a Thursday, but not as much as I would play into a regular Derby, because I thought there was 8 or 9 horses you could make an argument for. And I'm going to stick with Gunnevera in the Preakness. I've been on him all year long, had him in the Derby, but just because of the wet track factor, and I think that may have played into horses like Gunnevera, McCracken, and even Irish War Cry and J. Boy's Echo potentially. So I'm hoping maybe a little bounce back for some of these horses. Well, Gunnevera anyway, coming back in the Preakness on Friday week.
I think we're going to also see Gunnevera is you see part of that. I know Anna was a little disappointed that he wasn't way back there along with Looking at Lee in the Kentucky Derby. That's typically the way Gunnevera runs his best races. And I know maybe it was the sloppy track that Javier thought maybe you need to keep him a little bit closer. And I know he was bounced around a little bit in that scrum leading gate, but he's going to be, he's going to be a stretch runner anyway, so it wouldn't impact him as much as it would a horse like Classic Empire. But I think in the Preakness you'll see Gunnevera back along with Looking at Lee way back in the back of the pack, which is the way he ran his best races going in. So I do think, I agree with you, I do think he'll run better in Preakness than he did in Derby.
And let me ask you, if you've had a chance on your rounds to talk to Todd Pletcher, and obviously the big question mark, as you say, is the slop, but maybe more importantly for folks who follow the game closely, 2 weeks is not Todd Pletcher's MO. Did he address that with you guys?
Really, what what I focused on this morning in talking to Todd was any differences or any similarities that he's encountering right now with Always Dreaming compared with Super Saver back in 2010. And he pointed out this morning to us that with Super Saver, he was eating well, he looked good, but in his gallops, he was always a very energetic horse, maybe not quite as energetic as Always Dreaming, but he was a pretty high-spirited horse in his typical morning gallops. And one of the things Todd noticed when he got to Pimlico is that the horse was much more subdued in the mornings than he had been at Churchill Downs, and that worried him leading up to the Preakness, that maybe the horse had just lost a little bit of energy, lost a little bit of the edge, and wasn't quite ready to bounce back with the same kind of race in 2 weeks. And obviously he didn't. He was beaten 11.5 lengths in the Preakness. He was closer to the pace, and it was very dull. With Always Dreaming, he's seeing high energy. He's not really seeing much of a difference between the horse at Churchill Downs and the horse here at Pimlico. So I think that's probably a good thing. As far as the 2 weeks go, to me, that's overanalysis. It is. I mean, Todd Pletcher is a top-notch trainer. There's no reason why, in these circumstances, that Todd wouldn't be able to bring the horse back in 2 weeks to win the Preakness if the horse is ready to roll. So I'm not even considering that as any kind of a handicapping factor at all.
Okay. And let me ask you about another one. And if the buzz down there is the same as I've been hearing for the last week and a half or so, I think a lot of people are kind of looking at the Derby and something you guys focused on quite closely in the broadcast right after the race was run, the trouble Classic Empire had, and the fact that he was probably much better than that fourth place performance.
Huge.
Yeah.
To me, that's huge. Yeah, because Classic Empire's best races, like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, for example, have been when he was up in the mix early. He's a horse that's got a high cruising speed. He's a horse that is very determined when he's got a target in front of him, and we saw that in the Arkansas Derby. And he's got a lot of determination, but he really prefers to be up there, 1, 2, 3 in the early part of the race. If you think about the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he was sitting a half length off of Cinderguard down the backstretch in a pretty swift pace, and Julian Leparoux is tugging against him down the backstretch, and Cinderguard's rolling. Okay, so Classic Empire's got that kind of speed. And yet, when he was broadsided at the start of the Derby, he finds himself back, 11th, 12th, 13th in the run through the stretch the first time, getting a face full of slop. That's not his preferred way to run. Then, in order to try to get him out of the slop, he steered wide, and he winds up running, according to Trackus at least, 75 feet further, 72 feet farther than Always Dreaming did. Now, I've done the breakdown, a pretty extensive breakdown in the past of Trackus statistics in terms of distance run and how they translate into lengths. And using the Trackus data, one length in their system is equivalent to about 10 1/4 feet. So that comes up to about a 6.5 length difference in ground run, ground lost, compared to Always Dreaming. And what was he beaten? 7 3/4?
Yeah.
And then you've got to factor in the fact that he was taken out of the game to begin with. So I thought it was an outstanding race, given the circumstances from Classic Empire.
So, Always Dreaming, Classic Empire, obviously getting some buzz coming out of the race, looking at Lee coming back off a good second-place performance. What chance do you give to the new shooters? Because I've said it for the last couple of days. The horses that make it into the Derby are, by definition, the best 3-year-olds at that point in the year. The horses that are, quote-unquote, the new shooters either weren't good enough, didn't have the points, or maybe they're late developers. And to me, it just kind of stands out that way this year. It's hard for me to get past the Derby runners. I mean, Chad has Cloud Computing and I was disappointed to see Castellano go off Gunnevera, but I think, if you got a choice between, if you're a New York-based guy and you got a choice between
Sure.
one big horse and Chad Brown, you go with Chad Brown. But I'm not that enthralled with cloud computing. I think it goes through the Derby runners. But do you see any new shooter who looks kind of live?
I think it goes through the Derby runners. I agree with you there. The one new shooter that I'm most interested in is Multiplier.
Okay.
And I'm going to get into a little hardcore handicapping with you because I know that's kind of what you guys do.
Sure.
The Illinois Derby speed figures were impossible. There was one two-turn race all day at Hawthorne, and that was the Illinois Derby. And if you just looked at the other sprint races that day in order to make a track variant, which we would typically do, and you applied it to the Illinois Derby, then you would have gotten a figure of 111. So some days, it's really not that uncommon due to wind, due to maybe track surface conditions on the first turn, whatever. Route races come up abnormally fast.
Oh, did we lose Randy? Looks like we lost him. We are going to try, I'm being told in my ear, to reconnect. But yeah, and I'm looking at Brisk speed figures here. I have Brisk past performances in front of me. Multiplier, 4 starts so far this year, broke the maiden 2 starts back with a 93. The the Brisk speed figures improved every time, a 78 to an 86 to a 93, and the Illinois Derby for Multiplier was a 104. But again, these speed figures are kind of massaged, and as Randy was saying, when you don't have anything on the day to compare it with, it's hard to know exactly what you're looking at, whether it should be much better or much worse. So Multiplier in pretty press on the speed number, buyer number, Randy's talking about similar in the improvement that has been shown by Multiplier. So interesting potential new shooter there. You guys are beginning to now counter. He's not considered for anyone. He's very much a brief draft. Yeah, this is in the third star. Fairgrounds. Lots of spots. That one race. It's no derby towards pretty soon. That's the direction they have gone. And I mean, people coming to so it's a left break and news and I got plenty of information back in the second game.
Bring your mobile device with Capital OTB's new mobile app. Wager anytime, anywhere, right from your smartphone or tablet. Watch, wager, and win right at your fingertips. The new Capital OTB mobile app. Championship horse racing continues at Capital OTB.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Here's a layer. Honor Code looked like he got him in the last stride.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. We have reconnected with Randy Moss, and Randy, let's plug in where the cell phone cut you out. You were talking the number on multiplier.
I was in the middle of this long dissertation about multiplier. Where was I when it cut off?
You were talking about the fact that there was nothing really to compare it to, so that makes the number a little bit hazy, as it were.
Exactly. We're going to bump it up to a 94. I think right now it's an 88. A horse ran back out of that race Sunday at Churchill Downs and won, a horse called Hollywood Handsome. So we're going to kind of go off that, and we're going to bump the number up a little bit. But it's really a guess. We don't have any idea. The race might actually have been a little faster than that. So, he's a pretty nice horse, lightly raced, improving. Got a good mid-pack running style, so he's the one that interests me the most out of all the shooters.
And when we lost you, I was just reading to the viewers. I have the Briss early PPs here with the contenders, and the Briss number, he went from a 78 to an 86 to a 93, and then got a 104 Briss speed number in the Illinois Derby. So they gave him a pretty good number.
How do they compare? How does that compare, let's say, with the Kentucky Derby?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. The Briss numbers, because I don't know what the Briss numbers were for the Kentucky Derby.
Okay, I'm not familiar with their scale.
It's usually I want to say about maybe 8 to 10 different, something like that maybe. So
Okay.
so that puts it at the 93 is 93, 94 is probably right in the ballpark.
It really is guesswork though as to what that number really is.
And I don't want to go way off topic here, but speaking of guesswork on numbers, we were on Sunday morning looking back at the races at Belmont on Saturday, and the numbers given to those two grass races were just insane.
It was such a bad. That was the bad weather day, right?
Yeah.
I
mean, they walked through the entire thing, and I think the Man of War was a 110 buyer.
Yeah, that's another situation. I mean, we have Mark Hopkins does the buyer speed figures for New York, and he's been doing them up there for a long time. And one of the frustrations that we have in doing turf speed figures in general is that for some reason the pace of turf races has gotten substantially slower in top races than it used to be. They actually the pace of top level grade 1 races is actually typically slower than a lower level allowance race.
Yeah.
So it makes it very difficult when you're making figures because you have to sort of pull those races out separately and just go by what the horses have been running in the past. So.
Yeah, and I think as bettors, we're kind of well aware of that because there's nothing more frustrating than to play your horse and then see some horse out on the front end just kind of loping along all the way around, which happens way too often in turf races now. Let's just a couple of more things before we let you go. You were bouncing around the backstretch this morning. Any other news or notes that we should maybe stick in our back pocket from your travels this morning?
Not really. Classic Empire looks great. It looks very, very good. Talked to Scott Blasi, the assistant trainer for Steve Asmussen. Steve's not here today, but Scott says both of the Asmussen horses, looking at Lee and Hintz, are doing extremely well. They're completely throwing out the Derby for Hintz, which you may have read, just because they think the sloppy racetrack compromised his chances. Looking at Lee will run through anything, seemingly. Scott had a good comment. He said, looking at Lee's the kind of horse that you could put armor on him and give the rider a sword and send him right into battle. The horse is so brave; he'll run through anything. So the sloppy conditions at Churchill obviously didn't bother him at all. Multiplier's doing well. We talked to Brandon Walsh. That was pretty much our rounds this morning.
And again, congratulations to you and Jerry and the entire team, and Mike Tirico, the new guy on board. It's a little bit different, but you guys did a great job again at the Derby.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, always enjoy the telecast and the background stories and whatnot. All right, I don't want to put you on the spot, and I know you got to save things for the NBC telecast. We're a few days out. The post positions haven't been drawn yet, but at least give us an idea. Which direction are you leaning in the Preakness?
Well, it's totally going to depend on the draw. I mean, when I got to Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Derby, I was tossed up between Irish War Cry and Always Dreaming. And as so often happens, I let the group think of the Derby and the hyper analysis. Everything's under a microscope, the Kentucky Derby. And I let the way Always Dreaming was training at Churchill Downs, being really aggressive suddenly in the morning and having to change exercise riders and change equipment and all that. I let that in my mind be the deciding factor in picking Irish War Cry instead of Always Dreaming. So that's something I always try to guard against, is treating the Derby as if it's a completely different animal than just a regular stakes race. It's a horse race. It's not some kind of magical mystery tour. And I fell victim to the kind of thinking that I always try to avoid. So coming into the Preakness, I think again, I'm tossed up right now, literally tossed up between Always Dreaming and Classic Empire. And the way the post positions, I'm not a huge post position guy, but in this case, the way the post shakes out between the two horses is going to make my mind up for me.
What would you see as beneficial to one as opposed to the other?
Well, if Always Dreaming is in a position with the other pace horses where he might not get the smoothest trip into the first turn, then that might be the difference to me. Classic Empire, I'm not really that worried about what post position he draws. If he's inside, I might even like it better because I think it would sort of force Julien Leparoux to get aggressive. I like that. I think sometimes he's a little too passive.
Yeah.
And he may put Classic Empire more in the mix from an inside post position, which I think is a good thing. So really, I want to see what post Always Dreaming gets. That's my big thing.
All right, Randy, again, appreciate the visit. I know it's busy down there. Appreciate your taking the time, and you guys did a great job on the Derby telecast. We look forward to more of the same this weekend. And if there's a Triple Crown on the line, maybe we'll get in touch with you in the meantime. But if not, we're looking forward to our annual Visit Travers weekend up in Saratoga on the backstretch.
Likewise. You guys keep up the good work. Take care.
Appreciate it. Randy Moss from MDC Sports. That'll lead us to our last break of the hour. When we come back, Bill Downs from Indiana Grand. Stay tuned.
Face it, most horse racing websites are just too much clutter, too much to navigate through. Next time, log on to CapitalOTB.com. Our newly designed website is easier than ever to use, with all the information the professional horse player needs. CapitalOTB.com.
And they're turning for home. Howelltown and Citation head and head, and it looks like Eddie Arkell has got his Derby. They're coming in there just like they were the enemy, riding each other close, and it is Citation coming to the front. He's everything they said he was. He's going to win with his ears pricking. It is Citation by 2.
There's a strong left-handed whip again by Tinkai. He goes to it time and time again, but Ronnie Turcotte has his whip put away, and Secretariat has him put away. He's beginning to draw away. It is Secretariat.
Sided Sand Hepburn along the inside. Run, Dusty, run on the inside.
Here he comes, and he's opening it up again. It's Seattle Slew, and he's drawing clear of the field. Alidar on the outside driving. Affirmed and Alidar heads apart. Affirmed's got a nose in front as they come on to the wire. At the finish, it's going to be dead tight.
Front as they come to the wire, and American Pharaoh and Victor Espinoza have won the Preakness over Caleb Herb. Bob Baffert get yet another chance at a Triple Crown.
Equestricon.
Equestricon.
The first ever international racing convention.
The first ever. For the fans.
Meet the legends.
The breeders, the owners.
The jockeys like me.
The best of the industry.
Come celebrate racing at Equestricon.
Championship horse racing continues at Capital OTB. There's no better place to watch, wager, and win than OTB TV and CapitalOTBBet.com.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Happy to plug Bill Downs in from Indiana Grand. Part of the Indiana Grand rotation will be with us on Wednesdays from here on out as the meet is, a couple weeks old now, Bill?
Yeah, actually, we're a good ways in now. We're like week number 5. And then
okay,
it's
all right.
This week, yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was a while. I just was hazy on how long. I said 2 or 3 at the beginning of the show, but time flies when you're having fun. We'll get some ideas from today, for today in a moment, but before we do, I just wanted to do a little general catch-up. I pulled up stats last night on the human side. Deshaun Parker currently leading on the jockey side. Tommy Pompel second. Goncalves tied for third with Katie Clausen. John Herron, who I wasn't familiar with before, I was reading a little bit about him yesterday. John Herron in the lead on the trainer side. Obviously very early at this point, but give us some of your thoughts on the human side. Who's hot and maybe who's not?
Yeah, John Herron certainly is very hot, outperforming what he normally does. He's hitting about 25%. Based up down here at Indiana Grand, also up in Chicago. He certainly is a racing secretary's best friend because he likes to enter horses. Really, no one is, in terms of the trainers, a lot of the locally based trainers are doing good right now. The Tom Amos and Brad Cox are probably 2 of the more well-known trainers who enter horses at Indiana Grand. They're doing fine, but they're just not entering horses at the same numbers as Herron and Gennaro Garcia, Kim Hammond, and Cipriano Contreras. Those make up the top 4 in the trainer standings. Now with the jockeys, it's Deshaun Parker, who made the switch from Mountaineer, is riding here this summer. It's kind of a different jockey colony than in years past. Alban Jimenez is going to be based out of Belterra down in Cincinnati, and Fernando de la Cruz, who's usually at the top of our standings, he got hurt down at Tampa Bay Downs. He's still going to be out for a significant part of time. So it's kind of opened up the jockey standings, if you will. Katie Clausen, a young apprentice, went down at Oaklawn Park for the winner, and has the same agent as Deshaun Parker. So she's getting some pretty good opportunities to do quite well here at Indiana Grand. And one veteran I think that's really in this veteran had a big long shot yesterday, and like a 36-1 or something like that. Jose Riquelme has been around for a while. He's been doing really, really well with a limited number of starters. And he's somebody that I'm starting to really to pay attention to. So I think he knows how to get around our oval.
All right, and I'm just looking down the trainers list again. As you say, Brad Cox, high percentage guy. He just hasn't had the same number of starters. But Dane Kabisky jumps out at me. He's interested me since he went over from the jockey side to the trainer side in Maryland. Is he based down there, or is he based over in Kentucky and just ships over?
Yeah, I think he's based in Kentucky.
Yeah, okay.
He runs a lot of in our 2-year-old maiden races, and that's just barely gotten started. But he's another guy who'll ship in and run here.
And I'm right next to him on the list, Nancy's husband, Paul Holthus. He's off to a pretty good start. Limited starters so far, but 8 exacta finishes and 12 starts.
Yep, Paul's another guy who's right there. The trainer standings is very, very bunched. Like the top 10 is like separated by three wins right now.
And I pulled up the website last night, and I was going through some of the promos coming up this season at Indiana Grand. Obviously, the highlight of the season, or one of the highlights anyway, Saturday, July 15th will be the Indiana Derby. That's always a lot of fun. But I'll tell you, Bill, as I went down, you guys have a promo coming up, and I haven't heard of anybody else doing this, but it's not going to shock me if it catches on. This is a lot of fun. The 007 Jocks Agent contest kicks off on July 1st, goes through the end of August, where folks select a couple of jockeys, and you quote-unquote, you're their agent. Essentially, you're just kind of watching how well they do, win, place, or show. But you can fire them during the season and get new ones, and the best combined purse earnings, the person with that wins $1,000 at the end of the contest. But it's essentially a jockey fantasy league kind of game.
Yeah, but I will say this. I think that's for our on-track people, but it is an interesting contest. But I will say this, in terms of something that anyone can play in, we'll have our second annual NHC qualifier in August. It's one of those Saturdays in mid-August where you could have a chance to qualify for the, I think they changed it now, the National Handicappers Championship, what they call it now, in Las Vegas, and there'll be 3 Vegas spots on the line. If you go to the website, indianagrand.com, you can get information on that NHC qualifier. And then for today, for the bettors, we got that Pick Six carryover, just over $10,000. Doesn't get over 5 figures too often at Indiana Grand, and it's a $1 minimum bet, and it'll start on race number 3.
Available to everybody this afternoon, and we'll kick off looking at some of the races that'll be in that sequence. First, give us an update on today's weather.
I like to use a term every now and then, glorious, and we got glorious weather here at Indiana Grand. Temperatures in the low 80s. Sunny skies, track is fast, and the turf course is firm.
And I took a look at Indiana Grand for our website today, so maybe we can have a little meeting of the minds or just see which direction we're going. The 4th race today, a C condition allowance for state breds going a mile. I went 6, 9, 7, and 2. I put La Peregrina on top. Tommy Amos, Katie Clausen comes up from Fairgrounds. Question mark here is the layoff. Hasn't been seen since Fairgrounds in December, but Amos does okay off the layoff. So I went in the direction, as I say, 6, 9, 7, and 2. How did you see race 4?
Well, the layoff doesn't bother me at all with Amos, that's for sure. The question mark, I think, is the dirt. 2 starts, but that was early on in her career. So,
and that's I kind of looked at the horse was getting better, as opposed to those dirt races being significant, what we'll see more of today. I'm hoping in the improved efforts on the turf give us an idea of what we'll see this afternoon.
Yeah, so I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt to La Peregrina. The one I like a little bit, and you mentioned, I think, a 3rd place horse for you, Express Run for Bernie Flint. Got the rust off, if you will, off the long layup in a 6-furlong race, and finished 4th with along the inside. And it was an all-right race, but the Express Run, I think, is a much better 2-turn horse than a 1-turn sprinter. And her last couple of wins have come in route. So I'm thinking Express Run is going to run better. Elegant Models, kind of got an easy lead last time out. I'm just guessing someone's going to pressure her a little bit more in this race with a bigger field. So I didn't know what to do about her. Hey, Little Bit is also in the same boat as Express Run. Got the rust off the long layup, and it's just behind Express Run last time out. And, was in some stakes races at the end of last year, finished 4th a couple of times. I think she's another one at a price at 8-1 that you can use as well.
Yeah, Hey Little Bit is the one I left out of my mix that I find the most dangerous, so I agree there. 5th race this afternoon, maiden special weight event. They're on the grass at 1 mile. I went 4, 6, 2, and 7. I just took a little shot with the second-time starter from Joe Sharp. I thought there was maybe a little interesting precocious breeding here. Didn't show it on the dirt at Keeneland. Maybe this horse will move up against the maiden special company on the grass at Indiana Grand. So I admit it is a roll of the dice, but I went 4, 6, 2, and 7.
Yeah, and I think I'm right there with your top 2. Blanco y Negro was involved in a 5-horse duel at Keeneland, then kind of stopped at the top of the stretch, but it was a pretty fast pace. I'll give credit to Blanco y Negro, even though he finished dead last in the race. But I think the key is the turf breeding. Kate Blanco out of an unusual heat mare screams turf to me. And I think Blanco y Negro at a price is interesting. Turf Commander was on the NYRA circuit for a couple of races. Wasn't disgraced by any means at a tough post at Saratoga way back on August 27th of last year. Lost to Patterson Cross, who has gone on to do some big things. And Ballo Rocks, I think, was second in that race. Now that I look at it, that race is looking better and better for Turf Commander. So, if you're using Pick Six, it's either kind of like, okay, I'll swallow the chalk, or, use Blanco y Negro and double up. And maybe the outside, you got a horse, interesting first-time starter from the Ben Colbert Farm, Branch Point, a $250,000 purchase by Warfront, and is here at Indiana Grand debuting on the outside with Alonzo Munis aboard.
Yeah, Brant Point, again, another one of the horses I left out of the mix that scares me quite a bit, by Warfront, Ben Colebrook, the big purchase price. And usually I like those kind, first-time starters with a little bit of breeding. I couldn't quite pull the trigger, but at 8-1,
I
that's
hear ya.
one people have to pay attention to. I certainly agree with that. Seventh race this afternoon, optional claimer, 25 tags, non-winners of one other than the condition. Again, in race 7, they're going a mile on the turf. I went 7, 6, 8, and 9. I put City Without Pity on top. Just kind of a speed play, maybe a little speed pop, catch me if you can, kind of an angle there. So for me, 7, 6, 8, and 9. But what did you think in race 7?
Well, City Without Pity just won at this level on dirt, now coming back on turf. He's never won on turf, but has won on synthetic, so I'm willing to give her another shot in here. I think the key to the race is how much Fool's Broken Heart and Manicat Millie both pressure City Without Pity early on. Manicat Millie is much better on turf than on dirt, just throw lines for those last couple of races on the dirt. And Manicat Millie fits in here. Then the outside, Coco Chanel, 3-year-old filly going up against older, but I still think she's improving. And she lost to a really nice filly at Keeneland last time out in Victory to Victory from the Mark Cassidy barn. So that's I think a pretty good race. And yeah, she's going up against older fillies and mares in here, but Coco Chanel on the outside, someone to definitely look at in race number 7, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them. We've mentioned them on the card today that I found skullbusters because of surface switches that are really add to the puzzle. And I think fun card today out there at Indiana Grand. Bill, appreciate the visit. And again, we've got you in the rotation, so we'll be talking Indiana Grand throughout the late part of the spring and the summer as well. We'll talk to you again in a few. Good luck this afternoon.
Thanks, Seth.
Bill Downs from Indiana Grand. A little bit before that, Randy Moss from NBC Sports giving us his thoughts on the upcoming Preakness. And again, we'll have some nice Preakness conversation as the week continues. We started things out with Shannon Donovan from the marketing department here at Capital OTB. He ran through some of the promos and events, and we will do likewise as Bet 50, Get 50 continues through the month of May. Bet $50 into your new account, and Capital OTB will put $50 into your account. The online Pick 4 promotion today administered by Brian Nadeau. You can find out more online about how you can sign up to participate tomorrow. For our friends on the sulky side, even if you aren't a sulky fan, jump in and take your shot. Maybe you'll become a sulky fan with the online knockout challenge tomorrow, focusing on harness racing. Coming up on Friday, the Bounty Bet returns with over $1,900 up for grabs. And again, it's a late pick 4 at Woodbine. Can't say it enough. That's only a 20-cent bet, so you can get some good coverage and take your shot at that $1,900 plus on Friday. Friday also Fan Appreciation Day at the Alpha Lanes branch. If you're a patron there, swing by and let us tip our cap and say thank you for your patronage. And Saturday, a reminder, Preakness Day here at the Clubhouse Racebook. But Betmobile is on the road. And if you want to swing by the City Line out on Western Avenue, you can enjoy the Preakness and Black Eyed Susan Day, Friday and Saturday from 11 to 7 at the City Line. Again, Western Avenue, right across from the U of Albany campus. That'll be a fun venue to watch both days of racing, Friday and Saturday. And again, here at the Clubhouse Racebook, it'll be a great couple of days as well. If you'd like to reserve a seat for the Preakness, give the admissions folks a call, 446-4010, 446-4010 to reserve your seat here for Preakness Day. All right, I'm going to wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America. We are here every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 10 until 11 a.m. Enjoy the races this afternoon. Let's all cash a few tickets. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.
New York State horse racing is among the best in the world. The best owners and trainers, the best jockeys and drivers, the best venues and fans, and of course, the best horses. Hi, I'm Larry Colmus, track announcer for the New York Racing Association, and I'd like to show you how we take care of these horses in New York.